So, hello everyone, welcome back to the Pytest automation framework series. Uh, Let me check if it is working. Yeah. So, in the previous episode, or we can say session, we learned how to perform the data-driven testing using the Pytest math parameterize. So, we created one helper function, and through that we use the parameterization feature of the Pytest. And with that, instead of writing multiple login tests, we just had written just a minute. Yeah, so we had just written single test, and it run with the three data that we had in our csv file. And with this, our framework was now between more reusable and more scalable, but still at the end of the day it has some limitation. If we look at our automation framework right now, so we have just single page automation. That's it for that is for login page. So if we try to run our automation framework, then it will run only for login page. It won't go beyond that. But if we check the website, on our website there are lots of pages like admin, PIM, dashboard, lots of other pages. And in the real project also, we don't automate only the login page. Login is the just first step. And while creating this automation, obviously our first step was to just create the foundation of the automation. Now as we have created the foundation, let's connect other pages also. So today we will take the next step by introducing multiple page objects. Now, today's session will be a bit short, but we'll still try to connect as many pages as possible. Now, and we will create our first dashboard page, and we will also understand why every page deserves its own class and learn how one page object connects, or we can say hands over the control to another. Like once we are logged in successfully, how we are redirected to the dashboard page. So let's close it. Let's quit it. Okay. So if we see the flow of our automation framework that we have created so far, it simply looks like that we open the browser using the fixture uh, that we have created in prompt_test.py. Then we go to the login page, we check whether the login is working or not, and then the browser is closed. Now today what we will try, once we are on the login page, we will try to perform some actions on the dashboard, and then from dashboard, if still we have some time left, then we will try to go to some other page, and then we will try to perform actions on those page also. Overall, once we are redirected to the dashboard page, then the same logic will be applied to all other pages. We just have to keep the flow that from dashboard to other page, how we have to go. No, and in case if we have to return back, then we will see that also. No. So that's it for today's agenda. No. So let's see, browser open, login, then dashboard, then whatever page we open after that. Let's set example of admin and then browser closed. So if we see right now, this may look like a small change, but architecturally it's a huge improvement because our framework will now become capable of navigating from one page to another just like in a real application. So let's move back to our framework and create some code for the same. Since it is going to be new page dashboard, so we will create another page file for that uh, in the same folder pages, and then we will keep the name as dashboard underscore uh, dot or dashboard underscore file just a minute, dashboard dot py, and let's rename it to dash login page. Okay, so now we have created separate page for dashboard. uh, Now let's first go to dashboard page and see what's just a minute. So earlier, once we were successfully logged in, then we land on this page. Now today we are going to click on any of the CTA, and then we will see what's happening. So let's take example of admin as this is the first CTA. Now, so before that, let's go back to our file. uh, and let's create our new page object. So the first thing that we are going to do is importing the by class, because we are going to locate any web element using any locator like xpath or id or name. So for that we need by. uh, because just like our login page, we will need locators to identify the elements on the dashboard. So instead of hard coding locators inside every method, we will define them once, uh, and we will use them throughout the class. Now after we have imported by, then we have to import the web driver weight, because we will use the same weight function. So as we have already noticed that after login is successful, still it takes few seconds to land on the dashboard. So that's why we are going to again use the wait functionality. Nah. And for that we are importing WebDriver wait. So we are going to wait until the element that we need becomes available. Now, and because of that our test becomes much more reliable and it is not flaky. So we are going to import the third line for again, that is for the wait expected condition as EC. Now we already know that expected condition tells the Selenium what it is waiting for. So earlier in the login page we were waiting for the username and pass username to become visible. Now today on the dashboard we will wait for the admin menu become clickable. Sorry. Now let's create a class and let's name the class as class dashboard page. Now this class is going to represent our dashboard page. This class that we recently created dashboard page will represent the dashboard of our website. Now if we notice this, this is not representing the entire application, it is just representing the one page, which is our dashboard page. Okay. So the class that we recently created, it is representing just one page, and that is exactly what the page object model is about. Now if we have to go to, suppose, admin page, then we will create separate page for admin. If we have to get the PIM page functionality, then we will create separate page for PIM, and so on. Now, every page gets its own responsibility. Login belongs to login page, dashboard belongs to dashboard page, admin belongs to admin page. Now, and as the application grows, our framework also grows in exactly, we can say, the same way. Now, now let's create the locator. So once we are on the dashboard, let's click on any menu, as I already said. So let's locate the suppose we are clicking on the first element itself. uh, so it is li element, it is a tag. Just okay. So I think this is unique. this. Yeah, it is located into admin place. Use that. Hmm. So we are trying to locate it using the href element, which is the most the unit element which I can see. Uh, this class is same age same, so href. I copy the h path and see. Uh, it seems like admin the admin. Oh, so if this. But anyways, since we are running short on time, we will see the H path word, but still, let me try for last. So I got the issue is that I'm typing something wrong. So just a minute, let me it. Okay, cool. Now we are able to locate it. So this is the first locator uh, in our on our dashboard page. So let's go back to our page and store this locator for clicking on the admin CTA after login. So we are going to store it as a class variable. Now why we are going to store it as a class variable, let's just a minute, what was the name, uh, so its name was admin, so we will just give it as a admin CTA, no? Admin menu or admin CTA, whatever we can say. Now we have located using the CSS selector. We could use X path also, no, by right clicking, but as we have already generated the CSS selector, so let's use that. And so now let's copy paste the double quote to make it a valid CSS selector locator. Okay. So now we have created a class variable for storing the CSS selector that we just recently created. And why we are storing it as a class variable? Because we will split the admin CTA for different tests throughout the framework. Uh, and every test automatically will uh, be able to use that. If we define it inside a single module, then it will scope will be limited to that. Uh, and if multiple place it is being used at multiple places, and if we have to tomorrow make any change in that, suppose the name is changed from module is removed, then we have to just change here and it will be reflected at all the places where it will be used. uh, that is like one of the biggest example, sorry, I mean, we can say biggest advantage of using the page object model, that we can easily maintain the changes. Now after we have stored our locator as a class variable, now the next step will be to create a constructor. So we all know the how we create a constructor in Python. So def under init uh, self, and here we are going to write self dot driver is equal to driver. Now this is like one of the most important step. Um, Here we will call the driver. So now let's see what we are exactly trying to do with this constructor. So maybe many people will think that from where the driver is coming. Now, so when we were creating our login page, so when we execute the Pytest command, the browser was already opened. We don't want any other browser. We don't want any other login. Now we want to continue working in the same browser session. So our goal is, once the login is successful, then we have to continue with the dashboard page on the same login. And to achieve that, we are creating a constructor here. Okay. So, now our browser was already opened after a login, and we don't want another browser. We don't want another login. We just want to continue working in the same browser. So instead of creating a new driver, because if we create a new driver here, it will a new browser will open. We are just importing that. No, uh, or we can say we are simply storing the existing one, and we are using it. It's something like passing the keys of our vehicle to someone else. Now, the car or vehicle or bike that whichever we owns, it remains the same. Only the person who drives it, the changes. So earlier, similarly, the browser does not change. Initially, login is using, then dashboard is using. Only the page object changes. Now, now once we define the constructor, next we have to define the module for that. Sorry, I mean method. So it will be like here the only thing that we are going to do is that click on any of the CTA. For now we have located only one admin CTA. Now, so we will click on that, and we will name the module as generate uh, admin. Now this method that we just have written, it represent one business actions. Now, and now once we write the name of the method, then we have to perform the action. So to perform the action, we have to write again the um, wait command that we already write in our login page. So let me just copy paste it. Okay. So now we have copy pasted it. So here we have to make some changes. Let's keep it 15. Let's name it as because it is not driver. We are self. It will be self dot driver, and now we are using class variable. So we all know how we use the class variable. So to access the class variable inside the method, we use the self keyword. No, so it will be self admin uh, admin CTA dot click. Right. So we are just doing simple action. We are just storing the locator of the admin CTA in the class variable. Then we are creating constructor, and then we are clicking on that admin CTA. Now here we are again using the explicit wait. So instead of like blindly clicking on any CTA, we can ask the Selenium to wait until this particular admin CTA is visible. No. And the benefit, we all know, it prevents flakiness, our tests are more reliable. No. And once Selenium notice that this element is located, but this is uh, dot clickner, so let's change this to clickable. Visibility dot element to be okay. So now Selenium will wait for this particular admin CTA to be available for clickable, and once it is available, then it will click it and it will proceed. Right. Now the question is, how login page will know that after login page we have to go to the dashboard page. Now, because if right now if we execute the Pytest command, it will end the execution on login page only. There is no connection between login page and dashboard page. So here what we are going to do, this is the existing code of our login page, and here we are going to add just a single line at the end. We are just going to return the dashboard. Let me import it from pages dot dashboard page, import dashboard page. Okay. Now this line that we have just written, this is the main connecting point between the login and dashboard, and this now changes the whole framework structure, because earlier our login was simply being crawled and we check if the login is working or not. Now with this line we are returning an object, the object that is representing the next page. Now let's understand how it is working. So when we click the login, now browser opens the dashboard. When we click the login CTA, just a minute. So when we click the login, the browser opens the dashboard. So what should the login method give back? It should not return like true or false, login is successful or login is not successful, and it should not also return the URL, this one. The most useful or helpful thing that it can return is the object that is going to represent the page that we have just reached. Like after login we reach to dashboard, so there should be an object that should represent it, and that's exactly what we are trying to do here. We are just returning a dashboard page, and we are passing the same driver now, so that no new browser is opened for dashboard, and the test continue in the same session. So what exactly we are trying to say here is that after login, once we reach the dashboard, from now on, let the dashboard page take the control. So earlier our code was looking like this. Hmm, just a minute. Yeah. Now it will look like something like this. We will just have to add the word dashboard. Hmm. And now after that we can write. Once we created the object, we can write just let's try and see if it is working on. Module name.